The 9A, 19mm Parabellum cartridge was designed by Georg Luger and introduced in 1902 by the German weapons manufacturer Deutsche Waffen and Munitionsfabriken for their Luger semi-automatic pistol. For this reason, it is designated as the 9mm Luger/9mm Luger Plus P by the SAAMI and the 9mm Luger by the C.I.P. under STANAG 4090. It is a standard cartridge for NATO forces as well as many non-NATO countries. The name Parabellum is derived from the Latin, si vis pacem, Parabellum, which was the motto of DWM. According to the 2006 edition of Cartridges of the World, the 9A, 19mm Parabellum is the world's most popular and widely used military handgun cartridge. In addition to being used by over 60% of police in the U.S., Newsweek credits 9A, 19mm Parabellum pistol sales with making semi-automatic pistols more popular than revolvers. The popularity of this cartridge can be attributed to the widely held conviction that it is effective in police and self-defense use. Its low cost and wide availability are self-sustaining contributors to the caliber's continuing popularity. Origins: Georg Luger developed the 9A, 19mm Parabellum cartridge from his earlier 7.65A, 21mm Parabellum round, which itself was derived from the original 7.65A, 25mm ball-cart cartridge in the ball-cart C93 pistol. Shortening the length of the cartridge case used in the ball-cart pistol allowed him to improve the design of the toggle lock and to incorporate a smaller, angled grip. Luger's work on the ball-cart design evolved into the Luger pistol, first patented in 1898 and chambered in 7.65A, 21mm Parabellum. Demand for larger calibers in military sidearms led to Luger to develop the 9A, 19mm Parabellum cartridge for his new pistol. This was achieved by removing the bottleneck shape of the 7.65A, 21mm Parabellum case, resulting in a tapered rimless cartridge encasing a bullet that was 9mm in diameter. In 1902, Luger presented the new round to the British Small Arms Committee as well as 3 prototype versions to the U.S. Army for testing at Springfield Arsenal in mid-1903. The Imperial German Navy adopted the cartridge in 1904 and in 1906 the German Army adopted it as well. The ogive of the bullet was slightly redesigned in the 1910s in order to improve feeding. To conserve lead during World War II in Germany, the lead core was replaced by an iron core encased with lead. This bullet, identified by a black bullet jacket, was designated as the 08Me. By 1944, the black jacket of the 08Me bullet was dropped and these bullets were produced with normal copper-colored jackets. Another wartime variation was designated the 08Se bullet and identified by its dark gray jacket, and was created by compressing iron powder at high temperature into a solid material. Popularity: after World War I, acceptance of the 9A, 19mm Parabellum chambering increased, and 9A, 19mm Parabellum pistols and submachine guns were adopted by military and police users in many countries. The 9A, 19mm Parabellum has become the most popular caliber for U.S. law enforcement agencies, primarily due to the availability of compact pistols with large magazine capacities that use the cartridge. Worldwide, the 9A, 19mm Parabellum is one of the more popular pistol cartridges where it is legal, and cartridges in this caliber are generally available anywhere pistol ammunition is sold. From the early 1980s to the mid-1990s, there was a sharp increase in the popularity of semi-automatic pistols in USA, which coincided with the adoption of the Smith & Wesson Model 39 by the Illinois State Police in 1968, and the Beretta M9 by the U.S. Army in 1985. Previously, most American police departments issued .38 special caliber revolvers with a 6-shot capacity. The .38 special was preferred to other weapons such as variants of the M1911 because it offered low recoil, was small and light enough to accommodate different shooters, and was relatively inexpensive. The 9mm is ballistically superior to the .38 special revolver cartridge, is shorter overall, and being an autoloader cartridge, it is stored in flat magazines, as opposed to cylindrical speed loaders. This, coupled with the advent of the so-called Wonder 9s, led to many U.S. police departments exchanging their revolvers for some form of 9mm semi-automatic handguns by the 1980s. Cartridge dimensions. The 9A, 19mm Parabellum has 0.86 ml cartridge case capacity. The cartridge head spaces on the mouth of the case. The common rifling twist rate for this cartridge is 250 mm, 6 grooves, a lands equals 8.82 mm, a grooves equals 9.02 mm, land width equals 2.49 mm, and the primer type is small pistol. According to the official C.I.P. rulings, the 9A, 19mm Parabellum cartridge case can handle up to 235.00 mpmax piezo pressure. In C.I.P. regulated countries, every rifle cartridge combo has to be proofed at 130% of this maximum C.I.P. pressure to certified for sale to consumers. This means that 9A, 19mm Parabellum chambered arms in C.I.P. regulated countries are currently proof tested at 305.50 mpe piezo pressure. The SAAMI pressure limit for the 9A, 19mm Parabellum is set at 241.32 mpiezo pressure. The SAAMI pressure limit for the 9A, 19mm Parabellum plus P is set at 265.45 mpiezo pressure. Empty case weighs approximately 4 ag. Performance. The round was originally designed to be lethal to 50 m, but the bullet travels and is lethal at longer ranges. The 9mm cartridge combines a flat trajectory with moderate recoil. According to the 1986 book Handloading, the modern science of wound ballistics has established beyond reasonable doubt that the 9mm cartridge is highly effective. Improvements and variations. In addition to the traditional pressure values for this cartridge, there are two main variants that offer different pressure standards than the SAAMI or C.I.P. requirements. 9mm NATO standard. The 9mm cartridge has been manufactured by, or for, more than 70 different countries and has become a standard pistol caliber for NATO and other military forces around the world. Its official nomenclature among NATO members is 9mm NATO. The 9mm NATO can be considered as an overpressure variant of the 9A, 19mm Parabellum that is defined by NATO standards. The service pressure PMAX of the 9mm NATO is rated at 252 mPa, where C.I.P. rates the 9mm Luger P TMAX somewhat lower at 235 mPa. The 315 mPa proofing test pressure used in the 9mm NATO proof test, however, equals the proofing test pressure used in the 9mm Luger C.I.P. proof test. While the NATO standards do not specify the type of bullet to be used, Declaration 3 of the Hague Convention of 1899 prohibits the use of expanding ammunition in warfare by signatories, and therefore official 9mm NATO ammunition is FMJ ball bullets. It should be noted that Declaration 3 does not apply in conflicts involving non-signatories to the Hague Convention, including paramilitary and other non-governmental fighting forces. Swedish M/39. The 9mm Parabellum entered Swedish service as M/39 with the import of the Kulspruta pistol M/39 from Austria, with a bullet weight of 7.5 gram. During the Congo crisis, the Swedish UN contingent issued complaints about the performance of the M/39 cartridge used, which resulted in a commission of the Swedish Army establishing in 1962 that a new round was needed for the Carl Gustaf M/45. The resulting M/39B had a tomback-plated steel jacket surrounding the lead core. While the lands of the barrel can cut into the tomback, the steel jacket resists deformation and thus causes the gas pressure to rise higher than the previous soft-jacketed M/39, giving the 6.8 gram bullet a VAR of 420 ams. The mantle also acts like a penetrator when striking a target, going through up to 50 layers of Kevlar, 7 SEM bricks or 25 SEM of wood, allowing the bullet to defeat body armor up to Type IIIA. The downside is the higher wear on the weapon, ultimately causing the service pistol M/40 to be withdrawn from service. The M/39 is also available as chamber round a Kamapatron M/39 a black with blue tip, for indoor gallery shooting, and as blank round la paragraph S patron M/39 which has the metal bullet replaced with one in red, hard plastic intended to disintegrate into dust when fired. 9A, 19mm plus P variant. Attempts to improve ballistics of the cartridge came in the early 1990s with the widespread availability of high-pressure loadings of the 9mm cartridge. Such overpressure cartridges are labeled plus P, or in the case of very high-pressure loadings plus P+. Ballistic performance of these rounds was moderately improved over the standard loadings. In addition, improvements in jacketed hollow-point bullet technology have produced bullet designs that are more likely to expand and less likely to fragment than earlier iterations, giving a 9mm bullet better terminal effectiveness. 9mm SAAMs. The United States military uses red and blue marking rounds in the 9mm caliber known as Special Effects Small Arms Marking Systems. Commonly used for training simulations, these rounds are comparable in function to the paintballs used in paintball markers, except they are fired with a powder charge, and can be shot in Beretta M9 service pistols with only a barrel modification. The 9mm SAAMs rounds are fired from specially modified pistols as well as M16 and M4 rifles, which are incapable of chambering standard live ammunition. SAAMs weapons or components are normally painted blue or otherwise clearly marked, in order to denote their inert status and avoid a potentially catastrophic mix-up with live-fire weapons. This allows the armed forces to train with nearly identical equipment as used in real-life situations. The brand name for this ammunition, which is sold commercially and to law enforcement, is SAAMi. Russian military overpressure variants. The Russian military has developed specialized 9A, 19mm cartridges that utilize relatively light bullets at high muzzle velocities for both pistols and submachine guns to defeat body armor. Besides enhanced penetration capabilities, these overpressure variants offer a flatter trajectory and lessened recoil. The increase in service pressure causes a rise in bolt thrust, so the use of this overpressure ammunition induces more stress on critical weapon parts during firing. After initial research, conducted since the late 1980s under the codename Grach, the Russian armed forces adopted two specialized 9A, 19mm variants. R50 at 25 am means the closest 50% of the shot group will all be within a circle of 25 on radius at 25 am. The 7N21 9A, 19mm overpressure variant features an armor-piercing bullet and generates a peak pressure of 280 impa. The 7N21 bullet features a hardened steel penetrator core, enclosed by a bimetal jacket. The space between the core and jacket is filled with polyethylene, and the tip of the penetrator is exposed at the front of the bullet, to achieve better penetration. The penetration range for body armor is specified at up to 40 am. The MP443 Grach and GSH-18 pistols and PP-19-01, PP-90M1 and PP-2000 submachine guns were designed for usage with this overpressure cartridge. Jane's Infantry Weapons stated in 2003 that the 7N21 cartridge combines the 9A, 19mm Parabellum dimensions with a 9A, 21mm Giertzer bullet design and was developed specifically for the penetration of body armor and for the MP443 Grach pistol, the latest Russian service pistol. The 7N31/PBP-9A, 19mm overpressure variant uses the same concept with a similar but lighter bullet that achieves higher muzzle velocity. The penetration of an 8 mm thick steel plate is specified at up to 10 am. The 7N31 cartridge was developed in the late 1990s for the GSH-18 pistol. The 7N31 was adopted for the PP-90M1 and PP-2000 submachine guns. Its maximum service pressure remains unclear. The method of construction of the two rounds allows them to be effective against both unarmored and armored targets. If the bullet strikes an unarmored target, it holds together to produce a wide wound channel. If the bullet strikes an armored target, the sleeve is stripped away and the core penetrates alone. The disadvantage of the rounds is that high impact velocities are needed for them to work effectively, so the bullets are relatively light to maximize their muzzle velocity. This means they will lose velocity relatively quickly, limiting their effective range. 9mm Major. 9mm Major is a term common among handloaders in IPSC and USPSA competitions in the open division. It describes a 9A, 19mm loaded to reach or surpass the major power factor in those competitions, something that very few commercial self-defense loads do. Such loads are only rarely within the limits defined by SAAMI or C.I.P, exceeding even +P loads. Usually, they are loaded with relatively large charges of a low-volume slow-burning powder. Sometimes they are made longer than standard OAL to allow more capacity with heavier bullets. Since they can be used with common 9A, 19 brass, they are considered a more economical alternative to .38 Super. This ammunition causes increased wear on the gun, and can only be fired from barrels that have fully supported chambers. Guns not specifically designed to handle the excess pressure could catastrophically fail. Other variants, VBRB produces specialized bullets for this cartridge, a two-part controlled fragmenting projectile and an armor-piercing bullet that features a brass sabot and a hardened steel penetrator. These are designed for increasing the content of a permanent wound cavity and double the chance to hit a vital organ. USA data, the energy delivered by most 9mm loads allows for significant expansion and penetration with premium JHP bullets. Illinois State Police, Border Patrol, Federal Air Marshals and United States Secret Service favored and used 7.5 AG plus P plus 9mm loads at 400 AMS for years with excellent results. Massat IWAB has stated that the tried, tested, and true 7.5 AG plus P or plus P plus is the best self-defense load in this caliber. Proponents of a hydrostatic shock theory contend that the energy of the 9mm cartridge is capable of imparting remote wounding effects known as hydrostatic shock, in human-sized living targets. 9A, 19mm Parabellum pistols with standard double-stack magazines can hold up to 19 rounds, such as the Springfield XDM-9. The table below shows common performance parameters for several 9A, 19mm loads. Bullet weights ranging from 115 to 147 AG are common. Loads are available with energies from just over 400 AJ to 680 AJ, and penetration depths from 200 am to over 1.0 am are available for various applications and risk assessments. Key: expansion, expanded bullet diameter. Penetration depth. PC, permanent cavity volume. TSC, temporary stretch cavity volume. Synonyms: 9A, 19, 9mm, 9mm Luger, 9mm NATO, 9A, 19mm, 9A, 19mm NATO, 9mm Parabellum, 9mm Para, see also, 7.65A, 21mm Parabellum, 9mm caliber, list of firearms, list of handgun cartridges, list of rifle cartridges, table of handgun and rifle cartridges, NATO EPVAT testing, references. External links, article on 9A, 19mm Parabellum cartridge collecting including history with photos and descriptions of variations including headstumps, ballistics by the inch 9A, 19mm Parabellum results. Data on the Russian ammo,